Hidden Sleep, Wyoming is a very small town in Wyoming. There are 250 people in that town, and I showed up there when I was about 18 or 19 years old for a high adventure experience of horseback riding through the buttes and the mountains of the Bighorns with nothing but a compass and a pack horse. Was doing it with a small group through the Girl Scouts, and it was there was an adult with us, but she was not allowed to say anything unless we were in physical danger. I got off that little 7-passenger plane with one thing in mind. I am not going to be in charge of this. I'm tired of being the leader. You all know somebody like that from kindergarten on. Whenever that person is there, they're going to take responsibility. They're going to want to try and run things. Well, I am that person. But that summer I showed up completely burned out. I was just done being the leader. And I was determined that when we came up with the leader of this little trail ride, it would not be me. And that happened. I was not the leader. I learned more that summer than I have learned in any other leadership experience. And I learned it because when you are a leader, you can deny it all you want to, but you are, and you will continuously be put in a situation where you know what needs to be done, and you are the person who is going to do the work. What may be confusing you is that you have a concept in mind that there's only one type of leadership. Well, there are actually at least 6, and I'm here to talk to you about that today. Welcome to Essential Leadership, and I'm Carole Hardin-Oliver. I work here at Lake Houston Church of the Nazarene. When you look at styles of leadership, if you were to Google that, you would become very confused. There's an awful lot of them out there. I've chosen to go with the original from 2017. This is a study that was done by Daniel Goleman. He worked with Harvard. They've published it. You can get it very inexpensively if you Google it. It's well worth having. And he came up with 6 basic styles, and he did this through data. They surveyed over 3,000 executives over a long period of time and identified what characteristics do each of these styles have, and they went one step further. They analyzed what type of workplace is this? Positive workplace? Is this a negative workplace? So not only what are the different styles of leadership, but how does this play out when you're the leader? How does that affect your group? So ready to start in? We're going to start in with one that is called coercive, also known as command and control, or it can be called militaristic. A lot of these will go by a number of names. So if you've heard another name or if you Google another name, that's fine. These are the basic. This is where it all started. Coercive leaders are very well known, and I think we all know at least one of these people. Their favorite saying is, do it because I told you to do it. And if you are in a family and your mom has said this to you, if you're a mom, you've said it. Do it because I told you to do it. It is absolutely the most command and control style. What it does for you and when it should be used, when it is valuable to use this style, is when you need immediate compliance, and it is expected that you will get immediate compliance. The emotional intelligence that you will see in this type of leader is a real driven individual. Generally speaking, they have a lot of self-control, they have a lot of initiative, but very, very driven. So when would you use this? When is this a style that you should use? Well, in a crisis. If something's on fire, you want your command and control. You want your coercive leader in there. Maybe it's an organizational crisis. Maybe the organization has gotten into trouble and no one knows what to do. You need somebody to come in there and say, I know where we're going, just do it my way and we'll get out of this. This is the most negative of all the leadership styles. If this is the only style you know, it will not be going well very, very quickly. This is a style that you should use appropriately, intermittently, when everybody is stuck and we need to get going again. Or if you are actually in a crisis and we need to get started and everyone needs to know their job. So be ready to use this style, but use it only when it's appropriate. We're going to move on to the second style, which is known as the visionary style or authoritative style. So it doesn't sound the same, does it? Authoritative, visionary. It actually is, and you could easily get confused with the two of them. This is a person who mobilizes people towards a vision. They come in and they say, I know where we're going. Sounds a little the same, doesn't it? I know where we're going, and let me tell you how we're going to get there. This is a completely different person. This is the kind of person who's always looking back and saying, come with me, come with me. We're going to this place. Let me tell you again where we're going. Let me tell you what your place is in this vision. And they're so encouraging to work with. These people are incredibly self-confident. They have enormous empathy. I love them. Some people call them change catalysts, force multipliers. They go by different names, but they're that person that when they come in the room, everybody gets enthusiastic really fast. Not a cheerleader though. This is a tough spot. These people actually have a true vision, and they know where you're supposed to be in that vision. The thing they're not always good at is telling you where you are or how you're doing. So you can see already, here's two leadership styles. Each one has great values and gaping holes. So weave them all together. This particular style is a strongly positive style. If this is someone you work with exclusively, you're probably very engaged and feel positive about your job, your workplace, your organization, your group. The problem with this one is that if you're still a self-starter, if you kind of know what you're doing and learn well, you're going to be okay. This individual tends to lack details. They don't like to get bound up in those little details, but they will cast that vision from 30,000 feet for you. You will know where you're going. Just be aware. If you need details, look somewhere else. Can you think of somebody who has each of these styles already? You've probably worked with some of them. So I'm going to go into another one called the Affiliative. Just recently, the Global Leadership Summit had a speaker, Cint Marshall, who you may have heard of. Most famously, she is a woman who took over the Dallas Mavericks basketball team. Yeah. And she came from AT&T and retired. She was a top executive at AT&T, and she took over the Dallas Mavericks. She is hugely affiliative. Here's her style. She went in and sat down for hours with every single employee of that organization. Not just a minute, not just a hi, how are you, not a meet and greet. She got to know, what is your life story? She tells this story beautifully. If you ever have a chance, you should Google it. And then she asked them, where do you want to be in 5 years? By the time she finished going through the whole organization, not just the players, she went through the whole organization, everyone. The guy that brings the laundry in, everyone. She knows how everyone fits together. She wove together a vision for the Mavericks, knowing zero about basketball. The fact is, when someone told her Mark Cuban was on the line, she did not know who he was. But that's okay, because I didn't know who he was either. However, she wove together this group to become a very, very successful and a cohesive team. This particular style, the emotional strengths that they bring to the table, tremendous empathy. They can build relationships and communication. This is the leader you need when you have huge rifts and wounds and tears in your organization. If the organization has gotten under so much stress that the people are shutting down on you, this is the person that you want to work with. This is a very positive style, and this person can function for a very long period of time and run the organization using this style for long periods of time. Are you already starting to think about the other styles? Where would you have to drop out of the affiliative style? It's a wonderful style, but there's gaps in it, just like everything else. We'll come back to that. The next style, and this is the fourth one, democratic. Well, who doesn't love that? We all love democracy. We all love being democratic. However, it's a little difficult. You know someone like this. They are calling a meeting every time you turn around. They'll never much take credit for anything, but they're going to call every meeting in the world, have everybody in the world come in and sit down, and we'll hammer out some solutions or some thoughts. And they're just really, really good at getting a consensus together through participation. But you'll almost never say when you leave the meeting, wow, what a great meeting that was. So-and-so did everything. No, they didn't. They want the whole group to do the work. Their favorite saying is something that sounds like, what do you think? What do you think? I love it. Their emotional strengths are collaboration, team leadership, and communication. When you have that many people in the room, it is critical that you keep your communication pieces going. This style works really best when you need to build buy-in. If you have a disengaged workforce, if you have people that are just, I'm here punching a clock, this is a great way to get them back into the game with you. It's also a great style to use when you have tremendously valuable employees who know a lot of things that you don't, and you need them to get on board. They need to understand you're the ones who know everything. I'm just here to keep it organized and keep it moving in the right direction. When you have valuable employees, you'll probably like this one a great deal, and it will be valuable. Again, another positive work environment. If you're working for a person like this, well, congratulations. You're probably valuable, and you probably contribute quite a lot, and you most likely feel good about that. So democratic is an excellent style to have. Can you run into problems with it? Of course you can. Of course you can. I'm going to give you another one. This is our fifth. This one we'll all recognize, and I'm going to call it Pacesetting, which is what Daniel gives it the title of. This is Elon Musk. Oh my goodness, is he ever a pace setter? He sets standards so high that you are jumping through hoops trying to catch up with him. Worked with somebody like that? Have you ever been with somebody like that? They work harder, they work longer, they work smarter, and you just want to be there with them as long as you possibly can. But as we can all fabulously see right now, it doesn't work in every situation, does it? So this person simply says, do as I do it now. See me, see what I'm doing, you can do what I'm doing. Well, what about when you can't do what they're doing? When they actually are that talented, that smart, that creative, and you're just thinking, I'm here to help you, but I'm not really that guy for you. This type of person's emotional intelligence tends to be very much along driven again, but their drive is a little bit different than the original, the autocratic. Their drive is generally to be the best. They have a deep-rooted need to be number one, and they feed off that drive. Leading other people, you may or may not have a lot of people in your group. Some are simply there to help you. They're not driven by that same thing. Sadly, and not surprisingly, this is a negative work environment. So if you are that person, if you find yourself thinking to yourself, why don't they just do it? It's not that hard. You may have a little bit too much of this going on in your leadership style, and you may want to try balancing it. And I hope at this point you're starting to weave them together and say, perhaps I could use a little affiliative and have other people give me their feedback if you have valuable players. I'm going to give you the last one is a coaching style. Don't we all love this? This is a really well-known, everyone knows this, they've had a coach, they've been a coach. This is a style where you don't know what you're doing. This is extremely valuable. They will come along and they are encouragers. They bring everything to you in the sense of try it, give it a try. I know you can do it. They'll stand behind you. They'll continue to just really give you encouragement as you figure out what you're doing. This is the kind of person who is phenomenal at developing others. This is the person who should be working with your entry-level employees. If you are put in charge of a group of entry-level or interns or students or some group where you're anticipating they do not know what they're doing at this point, they can grow to. Your job at that point, your style at that point needs to be focused on the coaching ability. This is someone who helps people to really develop their strengths. So if you get into a position where the coaching style is what's being called for, you're going to be in a very good situation with this leadership style. Overall, this is a very positive style. So for a quick review, there are only two negative styles, and that is the pace-setting style and the original, which was I'm going to use Goleman's name for it again, which was the coercive. I keep calling it autocratic. It is the coercive style. Those two are negative, but still have a time when you're going to use them. There are times when you have to put on that burst of speed and say, we can get this job done. We can do it, and I'm going to show you. I'm going to lead off. I'm going to work harder and lead them for a short period of time in a pace setting. It will lead you toward burnout. So at this point, I'm going to tell you again, I want to reiterate that there is not just one style. You should not say, oh, I am a democratic leader. That may be the style you're most comfortable with, but be ready to use the other 5 styles when they're called for. Know when they are needed, and don't be afraid to use them at all. Depending on the situation, depending on the person, and depending on the specific time frame that you're looking at, you need to be able to use all of these styles in order to lead your people well, whoever your people are. You may be leading at this point a family group. You may be leading at this point a Sunday school class. You may be leading at this point a small business of your very own. Whatever your leadership role is going to be, this is definitely something that you need to learn, how to switch back and forth. As we go forward with these essential leadership videos, we will talk about that in situational leadership. So be ready and look forward to that. So right now, put your hands on the table. If I asked you at the beginning of this video, are you a leader? Would you have raised your hand? Or would you have said, no, I just wanted to look at the video? But I'm going to ask you again, are you a leader? Are you ready to raise your hand and say, yes, I do lead people and I need to lead them well? So I want you to take this information and begin to use it. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to send you a link to a free test that you can do that will tell you what your leadership style is. There's no charge for it. It doesn't report anything back to anybody at all. It is really interesting. It's from England, and the person who does it is a researcher, has made it available at no charge. You'll see that at the end of this video. If you have any problem, you can always contact us here at Lake Houston Church of the Nazarene, and somebody will get that for you. If you would like an overview of the 6 styles, we can make that available to you as well. And any questions you have, any further information that you would like, we're here to help you with the essentials of leadership. Thank you.